My dad handed me a bill at Christmas. $8,400, your share of the family vacation we're planning. I said, I wasn't invited. He smiled. You're paying, not attending. Your sister's kids need this. I wrote the check to a lawyer. When they boarded the plane and their cards declined at the airport, I was already closing the joint account they forgot I had access to. My sister Brielle has been the golden child since birth. She got the college fund while I worked 3 jobs. She got the wedding while I got a card. She got the down payment while I was told to figure it out like an adult. I figured it out. I became a tax attorney with my own firm by 29. That's when Dad suddenly remembered I existed. At Christmas dinner, he slid the invoice across the table like it was a grocery receipt. Fiji, 2 weeks. Private villa. Brielle, her husband, their 3 kids. Mom, Dad, not me. Your niece and nephews deserve memories, Mom said, pouring wine. You don't have children. You can afford it. Brielle didn't even look up from her phone. I stared at the paper. You're billing me for a trip I'm not on. Dad laughed. Think of it as back pay. We raised you. Now you give back. You raised Brielle. You tolerated me. My mom's face went tight. Don't start. Just sign the check. Your father already booked it on the family card. The family card. The joint account Dad opened when I was 16 so I could learn responsibility. The one he'd been using for years while my name sat on it as co-owner. The one he never removed me from because he forgot I ever existed on it. I smiled for the first time all night. Let me think about it. Brielle finally looked up. What's there to think about? It's $8,000. You probably make that in a weekend. Something like that. I went home and pulled every statement. Dad had been charging the family card for 6 years. Brielle's wedding, her kids' private school deposits, her husband's failed crypto venture. All of it ran through an account with my name on it. Legally, half of every deposit was mine, and every withdrawal without my written consent was unauthorized. I called my colleague who handles family financial disputes. She laughed for a full minute. Honey, they handed you a loaded weapon and asked you to shoot yourself with it. Don't. 3 weeks later, I texted Dad. I'll handle the $8,400. Send me travel dates and card details so I can coordinate payment. He sent everything within 8 minutes. Departure, February 14th. I waited. On February 13th at 11 p.m., I walked into my bank with 2 forms of ID, proof of joint ownership, and a notarized letter. I closed the account. Every automatic charge tied to it, the villa's outstanding balance, the rental car, the excursion packages, failed at midnight. At 5 a.m. on February 14th, my phone started buzzing. By 7 a.m., there were 43 missed calls and a voicemail from Brielle screaming that the airline wouldn't let them check bags because the card wouldn't go through. By 8 a.m., Dad called from a number I didn't recognize. I answered. What did you do? His voice was shaking. I closed the joint account. Silence. What joint account? The one you've been running Brielle's entire life through for 6 years. The one with my name on it. You signed the paperwork when I turned 18 and forgot. You can't just... I already did. The villa called me this morning asking who was authorizing the booking since the card bounced. I told them nobody. They canceled. Brielle grabbed the phone. Our kids are crying in the airport. Fix this right now. Use your own card, Brielle. We don't have $8,000 sitting in checking. Then you can't afford the trip. Dad said you were paying. Dad was wrong. I hung up. My lawyer filed the paperwork the next morning. 6 years of unauthorized charges. Itemized. $312,000 total. Half legally mine under joint account law. I offer Dad a settlement. Return $156,000 over 36 months, or I file suit and subpoena every transaction. He signed within 48 hours. Mom called sobbing about family. Brielle posted a vague Instagram story about toxic siblings. Her husband blocked me. I used the first settlement payment to book my own trip. Alone, Maldives, 2 weeks. I sent 1 photo to the family group chat, a sunset, no caption, and muted the notifications. Dad's second payment cleared last Tuesday. At the promotion meeting, I smiled and said, I can't wait for my raise. My husband, the boss, laughed. Raise? Oh no, I gave it to your sister. HR confirmed I wasn't even considered. My sister grinned, forgot to mention it. That afternoon, I cleared my desk. But what I did afterward, nobody saw it coming. I sat in the conference room expecting good news. For 3 years, I had worked longer hours than anyone else at Vantage Ridge Consulting. I trained new hires, handled difficult clients, and rescued projects that should have failed. My husband, Torin, owned the company. When we married, he promised our personal relationship would never affect business decisions. I believed him. So when the leadership team gathered to discuss promotions, I felt confident. I even joked, I can't wait for my raise. A few people laughed. Torin laughed hardest. Then he said, raise? Oh no, I gave it to your sister. The room went silent. My sister, Elira, sat near the end of the table with a grin that made my stomach twist. I thought it was a joke until Torin started discussing her new title and salary package. My hands went cold. After the meeting, I went directly to HR. Surely there had been some mistake. The representative pulled up the records and frowned. You weren't considered during the final review process. What do you mean I wasn't considered? I asked. Your name never appeared on the shortlist. I stared at her. The shortlist had been created by Torin himself. A few minutes later, I found Elira in the break room. She didn't even pretend to feel bad. Forgot to mention it, she said with a shrug. The promotion was finalized weeks ago. That hurt more than losing the raise. My own sister had known and kept quiet while smiling through family dinners and holiday gatherings. By noon, I was clearing my desk. Coworkers watched in confusion as I packed years of work into 2 cardboard boxes. Some tried to stop me. Others quietly wished me luck. None of them knew the full story. Neither Torin nor Elira realized something important. I had built most of the systems that kept the company running smoothly. Not because it was my job title, but because whenever something broke, I fixed it. Every major client relationship passed through me. Every workflow improvement came from me. Every training guide had my fingerprints on it. That afternoon, I went home and opened a folder I had maintained for years. Inside were emails, project records, client feedback reports, and performance metrics. Nothing confidential, nothing stolen, just proof of who had actually delivered results. Then I started making phone calls. Over the next 2 weeks, 3 of the company's largest clients contacted me independently. They wanted to know why I had left. I told them the truth without exaggeration. Several admitted they had worked with me, not Torin or Elira. One client laughed and said, "You're the reason we stayed." Another offered me a consulting contract on the spot. By the end of the month, I launched my my own firm. I expected a slow start. Instead, referrals poured in. Former clients recommended me to colleagues. Former coworkers reached out asking for opportunities. Revenue arrived faster than I could process it. Meanwhile, cracks began appearing at Vantage Ridge. Projects stalled, deadlines slipped, clients complained. Elira had the title but lacked the experience to handle the workload. Torin tried recruiting replacements, but training new people took time. 6 months later, I attended an industry conference. My company had a booth twice the size of the one Vantage Ridge could afford. As I walked through the exhibition hall, I spotted Torin standing alone. He looked exhausted. When our eyes met, he approached carefully. "You built something impressive," he admitted. "Looks that way," I replied. He hesitated. "Maybe we made a mistake." I almost laughed. "You mean when you promoted my sister?" He lowered his gaze. "Yes." For the first time, I realized I wasn't angry anymore. They had expected me to stay quiet, accept humiliation, and keep carrying their success on my back. Instead, they handed me the motivation to build my own future. "The funny thing," I said, "is that promotion turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me." Then I walked away. Not because I needed revenge, not because I needed closure, but because I had already won. The raise they denied me was temporary. The business I built afterward changed my life forever.
It was supposed to be my surprise, but my best friend took the spotlight. I woke up to my small town buzzing with some kind of gossip. When I left my house to head to school, I caught my neighbors being nosy and peeking into my backyard while whispering to each other. When they caught me staring at them, they immediately shut up and went about their business, avoiding eye contact with me. Something was going on, and that feeling of dread inside me grew as I got to school and realized no one could look me in the eye. My best friend Lizzie chattered on and on about her homework assignments and the test we were having in history that day. But it felt like she was forcing the conversation because she didn't want to talk about what everyone was whispering about. I felt like the whole town was in on a secret that I didn't know about. Even my boyfriend Jamie refused to look at me as he hurried to his first class, whispering a greeting as he passed me. It was weird, and I was determined to figure out what was going on. As I was heading to my first class of the day, I caught a couple of freshman girls whispering to each other while side-eyeing me. I paused and strolled up to them, noticing the way their eyes widened and faces paled in obvious fear. "What are you whispering about?" I asked casually. Nothing," one of them stammered. "Sorry." I stared at them for a moment before sighing. "What is going on?" I demanded gently. The girls exchanged glances before shrugging together. "Nothing," they said at the same time as if they rehearsed it. "Sorry." Then they turned and scurried down the hallway as if their pants were on fire. I was so confused. When I entered my first class of the day, the students fell silent and I suddenly felt like I just walked in on them whispering about me. Was I the brunt of some joke? My teacher was getting ready to start class, but even she seemed to have trouble looking at me. After class, I hurried over to her desk in the corner. "Can you please tell me what's going on?" I pleaded. I realized I was close to tears and I had to blink rapidly to keep them away. The teacher hesitated before slowly shaking her head. "I promise you it's nothing bad," she said quietly. "You'll find out soon enough. Please don't ask me to ruin the surprise." My eyes widened. "Surprise?" I asked. "There's a surprise?" The teacher immediately clamped her lips shut. "I've already said too much," she said a little harshly. "Please head to your next class. I won't be giving you a note if you're tardy." The bell rang as she said that and I cursed under my breath, rushing out of the classroom. By lunch, I was getting tired of the glances students have been giving me. Now that my teacher had said it was a surprise, I realized the looks I've been getting haven't been mean. The vibe wasn't cruel. My boyfriend still sat with us at lunch, but he couldn't look at me still. And I suddenly wondered if it was because he was afraid of spilling his guts if he did. I glanced at Lizzie. "You know what the surprise is, don't you?" I asked quietly. She looked at me startled, before nodding slowly. "You'll love it," she said brightly. Her smile didn't reach her eyes though, and I frowned. "What is it?" I asked. She groaned dramatically. "Don't ask me what the surprise is," she snapped suddenly. "I won't tell you." She was acting weird, weirder than normal. Like this surprise was something she didn't like. Her behavior confused me. I turned to my boyfriend. "Jamie," I said. His head jerked in surprise. "Don't ask me what the surprise is," he said gruffly. "I won't tell you." My jaw dropped in shock. My boyfriend, the worst secret keeper in the world, won't even tell me what I wanted to know. Suddenly, a hush fell over the crowd as everyone turned to the door of the cafeteria. The hairs on the back of my neck stood straight up, and I spun around, blinking to clear my vision as I stared at the person who just strolled through the cafeteria doors. Then I promptly burst into tears. My older brother stood in the middle of the cafeteria, still dressed in his army blues. I haven't seen him in 3 years since he shipped out to who knows where. I haven't had much contact with him either. He was always closest to me out of all of my brothers. I climbed clumsily out of the picnic table and rushed across the room to leap into his arms. He chuckled warmly as he wrapped his arms around me, holding me tightly. When he released me, he turned to face my best friend. Lizzie stood behind me, arms folded tightly across her chest with a scowl firmly planted on her face. There was something going on with them. I took a step back and watched them. Then, to my shock, he dropped to a knee and brought out a small box with a ring inside it. Lizzie gasped, eyes glistening with unshed tears. "It's not an engagement ring," my brother said softly, "but it is a promise ring. I love you, Lizzie." It was Lizzie's turn to burst into tears as she leaped into my brother's arms and kissed him deeply.